And we continue to follow that breaking news again here on Fox 4 News at 6. We apologize for those technical difficulties. We want to go back to our top story, where Governor Ron DeSantis is calling on the special session of the state legislature. Meanwhile, state legislators are saying no thanks, and they are not planning to have this meeting. Let's send things back out to Capitol reporter Forrest Saunders. Now, Forrest, we were talking a little bit earlier. This is pretty unprecedented. I mean, Governor Ron DeSantis has had a lot of power in the legislature now, and now we're starting to see a changing of the tide.
Without a doubt. I mean, this is the strongest case of legislative autonomy that I have seen in my tenure here in the Florida Capitol. 6 years now I've been covering this political dynamic, and I can tell you that for the most part, whenever the governor says jump, the lawmakers say, how high would you like? But that is not the case now. They are saying no to this special session. Doesn't necessarily mean that they won't get called back formally to the Capitol, but they never have to pass anything if they don't want to. So this is an interesting power dynamic. But before we talk a little bit more about that, let's look at what Governor Ron DeSantis wants first.
Day one, America's next president has vowed the largest mass deportation program of undocumented in American history.
We have a responsibility to be in this fight.
And here in Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis wants to be ready for a flurry of immigration executive orders from the White House. The Republican Monday calling on state lawmakers to come back to Tallahassee more than a month early, January 27th, and pass bills to assure compliance.
We are going to need legislation to impose additional duties on local officials and provide funding for those local officials. If those duties are clear in law, I have the authority with respect to certain officials to suspend them from their office if they are neglecting their duties. And that's a authority that I have invoked when it's been appropriate in the past.
DeSantis also said he'd back a repeal of Florida's in-state college tuition for undocumented, calling it an incentive for illegal immigration. It's a sentiment shared by the bill's sponsor.
And it gives human traffickers, which is what the parents are, a reason to bring their children to Florida. We don't want illegal immigrants in Florida. Go somewhere else. And better yet, stay home.
Florida approved the tuition breaks in 2014, a bipartisan effort to help dreamers brought to the U.S. as children. It was even championed by Florida's current Lieutenant Governor, Jeanette Nunez, when she was a lawmaker.
Let's not hold these children responsible for actions that their parents took, something they had no control over. Let's allow for opportunities for all of Florida's children.
Beyond immigration, DeSantis wants a laundry list of other items. More hurricane aid for recent victims and prioritizing them for Florida's home hardening program. A crackdown on ballot initiative signature fraud and condo relief to address rising HOA fees, a symptom of a reform bill passed after the Surfside collapse.
It just seems to me that all of this is a stunt. It's an attempt to get attention. It's an attempt to maybe try to take some of the shine away from the president just after he's been inaugurated.
Florida Democrats in the House not buying it. The House Minority Leader questioned why property insurance wasn't included and immigration was.
Immigration is an issue that is resigned to the Congress. It's resigned to the federal government. You know, if he really wants to address these issues so bad, maybe he should go back to Congress.
And I just want to recap again for you, because this is some really interesting rhetoric in a statement that we got from the House and Senate leadership just about an hour ago. Really some harsh language here. They are calling it irresponsible to come back early. They are calling it premature. And I want to leave you with this line, quote, as the elected representatives of the people, the legislature, not the governor, will decide when and what legislation we consider. So this is sort of a game of political chicken that's developing here. Who is going to break first? I can't tell you, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. Unprecedented where that's coming from. Thank you, Forrest. I want to go back to what you were saying earlier, though, about the governor can still call them, right? But he has no control over what it is they will and won't be talking about. So I take it we've seen this in the past happen?
Yes, we have. If you go back to 2010, then Governor Charlie Crist called a special session, and he wanted to address the BP oil spill and maybe do something about offshore drilling here in the Sunshine State. But there was not an appetite for the legislature, so he called them back, and he has the power to do that. It's in the Florida Constitution. So the lawmakers come back, and they did not want to pass anything, so instead they just sat in the chambers for like 30 minutes, did nothing, and then went home. That's why I call this a game of political chicken, because he can still call that special session, and then the lawmakers can come here and decide to either do nothing or maybe legislate something. We'll have to see. We do expect the governor to respond at some point later tonight in some kind of statement, but we haven't seen it yet. So we're going to be on standby for that. But for now, this special session looks maybe unlikely.